I'm Karen MacNeil, and welcome to WineSpeed.com's People to Know, insider interviews with the most fascinating and important people in the wine business. And today we're here, I'm so happy we're here with Dorothy Gaiter, who is the former Wall Street Journal wine writer, wine columnist, along with her husband, John Brecher, and still writes about wine, and an author who has written several books, 4, I think, about wine. So, Dorothy, you and John have really serious journalism credentials. You've been bureau chiefs, you've been news reporters, you've been page 1 editors, you've been editorial writers. After that kind of serious journalism, wine seems sort of soft. How did it come to pass that you, in a sense, gave up hard news?
We never stopped reporting. Mm-hmm. The wine column was always a really rigorous, well-reported column. We talked to people all the time, so I got to do that kind of reportage. But when I became a journalist to write about race, I wrote about race relations in America for 25 years before writing a word about wine. And in some ways, writing about wine is more difficult.
Really?
Yeah, and that surprised me. People have real attitudes.
Oh, I see.
You know, and yeah, it's been an eye-opening thing.
I would think, though, that it would be, I don't know, less emotionally fraught than race. My goodness.
You would think. Yeah. I guess people who disagreed with me about race just didn't bother. A few did. Yeah. A few did. Mm-hmm. And John taught me that if I got a letter that wasn't signed, not to read it. So I would get my mail and look very quickly if there was a signature, and if there wasn't, I tossed it.
Yes.
But yeah, you would think that. But people are really, their egos, their status, all that stuff is tied up in some ways that aren't healthy about wine. You know, your race, you are what you are.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
But wine allows people to move on that social ladder.
Right.
And so there's a hierarchy.
Yes. But we all have to start somewhere, and I mean, you and John started, as did I, very humbly, right, with Boone's Farm and Cold Duck, and talk about those times.
Well, John and I met on June 4th, 1973 at 9 a.m.
You're not in love or anything, are you?
In the newsroom of the Miami Herald, and it was just boom, you know, what a hunk. And he'd been editor of his college newspaper, and I had helped found mine. But still, they paid him $5 more a week than they paid me.
Yes, of course
and
they
I
did.
made them explain, and they said, well, he was editor of Columbia Daily Spectator. And I said, well, I helped found my black student newspaper, but still, I couldn't. But we worked hard all day long, and wine was just our refuge. You know, after trying to put bad people in jail, we would go out and have a bottle of wine, and that just was a healing thing, and it made us slow down, and we talked.
Yes.
And then we got Hugh Johnson's Atlas, and we would get out the maps and say, that's where this wine came from, and look how close it is to this place, you know. And then your books came along. The Bible. Oh my gosh. What John and I did, I first interviewed you in 2002 or 2003. You know, we like to bring other wine people before our readers because we didn't want them to just listen to us. I mean, the wine world is a very big place and many, many voices. And we just started buying books and buying wine, whatever our little budget could afford. But John got a bottle of Boone's Farm apple wine from it was Andre Cold Duck. It was a housewarming present from his parents for his first apartment. And on our first date, he knew that I love vegetables, so we went picking in South Dade County. We picked vegetables for dinner and took it home to his apartment and whipped up this not very interesting dinner, but we had wine.
Absolutely. And whether that wine went with those vegetables or not, it slowed you down and had you, helped you enjoy that dinner, right?
Yeah, and enjoy him.
Yes.
Because you slow down. When you slow down, you look at each other and you just reconnect.
Right.
And that hard week of work was just gone.
And that doesn't ever go away
No,
either,
it
does
doesn't.
it?
No,
Yeah.
no, and that's a lovely thing.
Yeah.
that all you have to do, it's so accessible, all you have to do is open a bottle.
Yeah. Surprising that when I think about people who who do not have wine in their life, I think, gosh, it's so emotionally important to me.
I can't imagine.
I can't imagine it either. We have to do our stuff for the consumption figures, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
what is it, though, about wine? You used the word, it was a sort of refuge for you early on and remains that. What is it about wine that makes it kind of intellectually compelling?
Well, in every bottle is history, geography, politics, all sorts of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's not, and you can enjoy wine on an intellectual level. There are wines that we don't particularly like, but we appreciate. Mm-hmm. We sort of sense where the winemaker was trying to go, and we respect it more than enjoy it. Mm-hmm. So we enjoy it on many levels, but it's just the most compelling wines make you stop and think. What was going on in that year? What was the weather like? What was happening? And the history of the family that made it. It's all there in one bottle.
Yes. Yeah.
in one well-made, thoughtful bottle.
Yes. I want to go back to the idea of you opening Hugh Johnson's Wine Atlas. And is that today even still a way that you would recommend for people to learn about wine, to sit with a book and taste and talk and...
There's another question that's attendant to that, but we tell people to just go out there and find a good merchant. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. And taste. But don't take our word for it. That no one can tell you what you like, right. Not even us. But that's a decision you have to make for yourself. And the best way to make it is to taste a lot of wine. If you find a merchant, as we did, we never knew her name. We always referred to her as the lady in Coconut Grove. And it's awful that we don't know her name, because I'd love to thank her. Yes. But she understood our enthusiasm, and we had $72 a week. That was our budget.
For wine?
For wine.
That was pretty. Oh, you mean at the Wall Street Journal?
No. Oh, no.
Oh, no. That has to be.
No, that's at the Miami Herald.
That's a half a bottle. Okay, what about the other half of the bottle? Right.
No, and we didn't make that much more in Miami, but that was our budget for wine.
Right.
And so she said, well, you can have this bottle of bull's blood. Remember bull's blood, Igui Bok River, I think it was
from Hungary.
Yeah, and it was like $3.25. So you could have that, and you could have maybe an $8 Bordeaux, no name Bordeaux. And so she would put together 12 bottles for us that came in under our budget. And she just, if you can find someone you can talk to, and I know they're out there. A lot of them are out there, but I think people are still intimidated.
Yes.
So we have to get them over that fear.
Yeah, although wine is, it's one of those things that someone does have to turn you on to ideas. I mean, I suppose you could just stand there in a retail store and just pick off any old random bottle off the shelf, but it's really much nicer when someone says, I think you're going to like this.
Yes. We found that with dessert wines. Whenever we'd have people over for dinner, I think if you asked them if they wanted dessert wine, they'd all say no.
Right.
But we'd just pour it.
Yes.
And we'd put the bottle out. And after a while, they'd be pouring themselves. If you ask people if they wanted Riesling, all these people say, oh, no, it's too sweet.
Right.
But if you just poured it for them,
yeah.
It's a wonderful thing to have anyone recommend anything to you. If someone you like, to recommend anything.
Now, you worked for the Wall Street Journal for, 10, 12 years as the wine critic. Right?
Almost 12.
Almost 12. And then why did that? Why did you decide to stop? I mean, you're still writing about wine now, but not specifically for them.
The paper had new ownership, and it was a cost-cutting thing. It wasn't our decision.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
But, I think it was too bad. But 12 years was a long time.
12 years is great. And in that time, I know from reading your Did most people, because you were in a position to at least suggest wines that you had liked or styles of wines, did you ever get letters that said, you guys are crazy, this is a terrible wine? Or were most people very appreciative?
Most people were very appreciative. I don't know if you censor WineSpeed. I've never heard anyone use a four-letter word, but there were letters occasionally from what we called wine assholes.
They're out there, yeah.
They're out there. And they were, they were always men. And one day we got one from a woman. And it was so startling that John printed it out and ran into my office and said, we got one from a woman. And this woman had said, you said that meritage rhymes with heritage. And it doesn't. It's French. It's meritage. And we said, no, sorry, but here's a link to the Meritage Association. They explain,
right.
They explain it. And then about 5 minutes later, we got this email from this woman who said, I walk away from my computer for 5 minutes. My husband sits down, and he sends you an email like that. He's such an, she used the word, so I'm just quoting her. Yeah. So our record stands. We've never gotten an obnoxious letter from a woman. But people, and it's a free country still. People can disagree with us.
Of course. Yeah.
And if we made a mistake, we'd love to know about it.
Right.
But we have different tastes, and we try to tell people that everyone has different tastes. And just because I like something doesn't mean that you have to like it, and just because if you found something, people would be embarrassed. They'd say, I found this wine and it only costs $5.99. I'd say, good for you. That's a bargain if you like it.
Yeah, totally.
But I don't have to like it, but
right.
Good for you.
Exactly. Now, speaking of different tastes, do you think that women and men essentially taste wine differently, that there are different mechanisms going on?
I guess I do. I've been tasting wine with John for 46 years, and the only wine that we've argued strenuously about ever, one type of wine, it was Oregon Pinot Noir. And I think it's because, and maybe this isn't a male-female thing, maybe it's just a John Dottie thing, but I grew up with a mother who believed that fruits and vegetables were nature's candy. And you could have as much of it as you wanted. And so the fruit forwardness of the early first generation Oregon Pinot Noirs appealed to me because they tasted like grapes. They tasted like fruit to me. And once we joked in a column, I told John that if he didn't like this, he'd have to sleep on the couch. And we got this very sincere letter from a man who said, why is it always the guy who has to sleep on the couch? I called him, he signed it. And I called him, I was just joking.
Yes.
I was just joking, but clearly he had some issues. But I don't know. I do think that there are differences that are gender-based. I don't know why I think that, but I do.
Yeah. Well, the research suggests, I never did for years. I thought, no, we've both been in tastings with brilliant men who are fabulous tasters. But there is new research suggesting that especially in terms of smell, women have highly attuned senses of smell that may offer some kind of an advantage to them.
I've read that, and they say that you taste wine first by smelling it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Right. Right.
Sometimes I lord that over John.
Well, and he's not here to defend himself either.
He isn't. To be fair. Sure,
well,
sure.
Dorothy, thank you. And our complete interview with Dorothy Gaiter appears on WineSpeed.com's People to Know page. Check it out. You'll really like it.